Okay. So hi everybody, I am Paul Baker. I'm the CEO for the Greater Idaho Falls Chamber of Commerce, and today I'm here with Russell Slack, who's running for City Council in Ammon. So Russell, just thank you for being here today and doing this interview with me. So you're up for re-election.
I am.
This year, and so I guess tell me a little bit about why you decided to run for City Council in the first place, and I guess the other piece of that is why you want to keep doing it.
Yeah, so that's good. So I've been on the council for a little while, and I was always very involved in the community. I've been a part of the chamber and the board in the past. I've been on what is now College of Eastern Idaho, but their foundation board when it was ITech in the years past. It's been a decade there. Was heavily involved in the Rotary and Kiwanis, and so I think getting involved in the community is important. I think a community is only as strong as the members who want to make it something.
Yeah.
And that's serving your neighbor. It's helping clean up the streets. It's the service area of the city and the people that live inside of it really make a community strong. And so I've always been a part of that. And specifically this section, or this next 4 years, one of the big things that I want to make sure is accomplished this year is we've always had a struggle with our budget. And we have, over the last several years, made enormous changes to the structure in Ammon and to try to help with the expenses and the things that we have in reducing costs. But we are at a point where we really need more help. And so I really want to make sure that this next 4 years that I leave the city is as good as a spot that we could be in for the next councils going forward in the city itself. And so there's a lot of budget constraints and issues that are there that I want to continue to work on. Brought some notes if you wanted to go through some of those things. Sure. But certainly we've made a lot of progress in the city of Ammon. We have the lowest levy rate for a city our size in the state. And we've done wonderful things. We have amazing staff. But I have always been involved in the community, and I feel like my life is really about pulling a weed and planting a flower wherever I go.
I love that.
So
that's great.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't realize that the chamber actually covers Ammon, and because we have Greater Idaho Falls Chamber, people focus on the Idaho Falls piece, but Ammon is very much an area that we thoroughly love and are concerned about, and has seen a lot of growth as well this last few years. So I guess that's probably one thing you hear often is about the growth and kind of keeping the sense of identity that Ammon has.
Yeah.
So I guess could you speak to a little bit about your thoughts on that? It's what do you think are the key components that really sets Ammon apart as a community and its identity, while also trying to promote it in a way to bring good jobs to the area, but also managing that growth at the same time.
Yeah, and that's the trickiest, I think, spot in all of politics, especially when the city is you have a lot of people who are very against growth. They don't want to see the farm ground in particular get developed and turned into housing developments. There was a development that came in several years ago that was 3,000 homes that wanted to come in, and Flagship, I think, is the name of the development that wanted to come in. And that really caused a huge stir in not just the city of Ammon, but the county in particular.
Right.
And from there's been a lot of people that still hold on to some angst when it comes to the development that the city of Idaho Falls has seen, the city of Ammon has seen, everybody across the board has seen a lot of development. And so how do you maintain, what is your proper role of government? And how do you maintain the feel of your community? And certainly the people in Ammon want to feel like a rural community.
Right.
They want to hold on to that rural identity. And even though, people have property rights, like if I had a third generation farm and I wasn't farming it anymore, and I wanted to take advantage of the property that my family has owned, and the best use for that would be maybe a development. Like, how can I rob that person of their economic future?
Right.
So it is a careful balance, and so I think one of the things that we can do in the Ammon, that we have done in Ammon, is try to make sure that there are open spaces, and not just that there's parks, because we certainly need more parks. We're shallow on parks. But we also need good setbacks from housing. We need good frontages on the roads. We need space where people are driving down a road. It doesn't feel like we're congested and overrun. And then the other things that we've done heavily is, high density apartment complexes has always been an issue. And so for years, Rex Thompson first got on the council a long time ago, and his impetus was controlling higher density that would go into consumer or residential neighborhoods.
Yeah.
You have a single family house and people want to raise their kids here in a nice quiet neighborhood, and then here comes 1,000 people, and
Yep.
and then all of a sudden the traffic and all those other issues. And so it was a couple of years ago, I think it was 2 now, maybe 3, that we moved away from this obscure 80-20 relationship between residential and high density, the single family homes and high density ratio that was impossible to really define what that meant, to actually putting standards in place.
Yeah.
That you had, if you're going to be higher density, you had to be so far, half a mile from a school and half a mile from shopping where you can purchase food, and then you had to be near or on an arterial. And so putting more restrictions and criteria on the appropriate places for those types of developments would go or could go really, I think, protects the interior neighborhoods.
Yep.
The people that wanted to have a quieter, slower, bigger yard, bigger setbacks, quieter streets.
Yeah.
And nobody likes those higher bigger developments, but they're useful.
Right.
People need them.
Yeah.
But where do they go?
Yeah.
So
I have definitely sort of seen that myself as we kind of examine the economy as a whole here in the greater Idaho Falls area.
yeah.
And there is a need for that mix for sure.
Sure.
But with that, if the jobs are being created, you're then creating the opportunity for, especially for young people, to have a home, to raise their kids,
Yeah.
get on the property ladder. But right now there's a lot of stress and concern about managing that bit, and then keeping the sense of community and identity that's there. And so
Yeah.
it's a big challenge. And I guess some folks don't fully understand where your limitations are as a city council
Right.
member too. So
Yeah.
I guess it'd be great to kind of just get a little bit of education as to where your kind of limits are and what you can and can't do. Because especially when you mentioned property rights, folks kind of think, well, the city's allowed this and the city's allowed that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a little bit of a give and take a little bit there too. So
Absolutely. So going back to that flagship development that came in a couple of years back that was turned down, some people were shocked to learn that the city council cannot engage in conversation with the developer. That property land rights and the development of property needs to go through a completely separate chain of command, which is the zoning
Zoning,
group,
yeah.
right? Property zoning.
yeah,
And so they're the ones who have to take the applications. And it's not that they get to pick and choose the applications that come in either.
Right.
So flagship was very controversial, and people were upset that we were the city in general was entertaining it. But you have to accept an application, you have to
Right.
go through it. And then it's really based on the ordinances that you have on the books that then restrict what developers can do or what it needs to look like. And so
Yeah.
you can't just go in and say I'm anti-development, or I just think we all need to be a small town, and I can just turn development away when my feelings dictate that I don't like this.
Right.
No, it's based on policy and rules and procedure and standards.
Yeah.
And the role of the city council and the staff and planning and zoning really needs to be working together to create what does the city look like? What do the residents want? And again, going back to the setbacks or the size of the yards,
Yeah.
or the streets and what they look like, and
Yeah.
do they have sidewalks or swells, or and creating open space in the neighborhoods. That's where those standards come in to help kind of ensure that the city, as it grows, because we don't have control over the growth, we can direct the fire
Right.
down a path,
Right.
but we can't necessarily stop it or prevent it from happening.
Yeah.
And that really is the proper role of a city, is to handle that growth. And if I had one complaint over the years I've been on the council, is watching the county accept subdivision after subdivision and put high density apartment complexes in the county, because they don't have the ability to create the funding mechanisms for the sheriff's contract in particular.
Yeah.
Like the cities charge the residents about $100 per year per person to help pay for the higher density issues that populations have. More calls, more resources are needed.
Yeah.
And when you have that development goes on in the county, you lose that funding ability. And then you also don't have the interconnected park systems and the trail systems. And,
Right.
and the counties really have allowed that to happen over the past 40 years. And I think the county's larger than the city of Ammon.
Right.
And that really creates a lot of trouble or
Yeah.
trials when it comes to funding our parks, fixing the swimming pools, walkways, and even the sheriff's contract. All those things are interconnected. And so
Yeah.
the appropriate growth in the right places is important.
Really good points, actually, and some things that I think folks don't fully understand how that entire kind of ecosystem works in terms of where Idaho Falls is, where Ammon is, where the county is,
Yeah.
and what you can or cannot do as a
Yeah.
as a council member. Over the years, though, Russell, you've served diligently. I guess like it would be great to kind of hear what has been your highlight of the time that you've served, and then I guess the counter to that.
Highlight. Well, there are several highlights over the past several years. And it really relates to how Ammon operates. And so, for one, the fiber project of Ammon. It was unique. It was a big risk when we first did it. We weren't, Idaho is a Dillon state, so you have to be authorized to do something before you can do it. And fiber was a new thing, and you weren't explicitly authorized under the state codes to be able to do a fiber network in your city. So we really stuck our necks out because we wanted to create an open infrastructure where we built the road, but then any ISP, any internet service provider that wanted to come in and be on our network could compete for the people that lived in Ammon. And that was very unique.
That's great.
In fact, we've had national recognition about this unique open architecture, broad system that we have in Ammon, and the opt-in funding. Typically when people are like, we're going to get a bond for the city and everybody has to pay for it, not in the fiber district.
Yeah.
You actually opt in. I want fiber. I'm willing to pay for it. I'm going to opt in. I'm going to get it. And then the people who don't.
Yeah.
So all of that's been super unique. So that's a huge win. We've also been able to move the fire department into the county's fire district, which it's helped them be their own entity and helped us with our budget hugely. We did the same thing with the sewer district, helping them become their own entity with a board that's elected to handle it's a complex system that's helped us with our budget. And then the other thing that we've done over the last couple years is actually we petitioned and worked with the state legislature when it came down to the distribution of the taxes paid when you shop.
Yep.
Ammon was getting hosed when it came to the distribution of the taxes for shopping that came through the areas.
Yeah. I think most people quite understand how that system and algorithm works, and
Yeah.
that previously it was a lot of that was going Ada County, I guess, for
and even Chalice.
Chalice, yeah.
The mechanism, the criteria actually included heads of cattle still.
Right.
From clear back in the
Way back
1940s,
when,
50s.
yes.
And just for notes, like this is the interesting piece. Like if we go back to the revenue sharing of the sales tax distribution, in 2010, it was $400,000. When we made this change, somewhere around 2017, 2018, it was $674,000. And today, our revenue sharing for taxes is $2 million. So going from $600,000 to $2 million over the last 6 years has been the only reason that, not the only reason, but one of a couple competing reasons why we're still solvent.
Yep.
We've had huge changes in inflation. The sheriff's contract, which is a great deal for Ammon residents, went from 1.2 million to 2.4 in the last 10 years. That's a 194% increase.
Yeah.
We've had ICRIP, which is their liability insurance, that's gone from 65,000 to 256,000.
Right.
That's a 370% increase.
Hence why your
all of
concerns
this.
on the budget and
Yeah.
kind of wanted to get a good balanced budget, and we have
Yeah.
all these different challenges as well as a result.
Yeah.
But so I guess tell me just a little bit more then about what you'd hope to see differently as you kind of approach your kind of key topic, which is the budget.
Yeah.
What's going to be different these next 4 years for
We
you?
really need to identify and find, and we've been doing this over time. We've cut things, we've moved things off book, like the fire department and the sewer system. We've found every piece of additional revenue. We've petitioned the state to redo calculations. We've done a lot of work in the last decade to make our budget stay strong without having to go back to the residents. This last year, we actually went to the residents and said, hey, we don't have funding for streets, and we have some really big issues.
Yeah.
So we actually was able to get a bond, a 2-year bond to pass. We have to renew it every 2 years. But that gave us $1.25 million a year to help with some of the streets. Now that doesn't go very far.
Sure.
A mile of street costs $5 million.
Yeah.
But those types of things, we need to find revenue sources for the projects that we need to continue to keep ourselves afloat. And so there are some ideas that we're kicking around. We're heavily discussing a couple of different ways that we can continue to work on balancing our budget going forward. But with the inflationary pressures that we've already had, and the things that we've been able to do, we've done some amazing things on shoring up our budget, but we're starting to run out of additional things, and so we've had to go back to the residents, like with the street bond that we did last year. And we'll probably need to do some more of those things based on the service that the residents want. Now, if the service that residents say, you know what, I don't care about this level of service. I'm okay with potholes. I'm okay with less response time in something. Then those things could be pared back based on what resident input is. But those are the realities of what we have to deal with. We have only a certain amount of money, and we've got to make those things work. And so, again, I hope that in the next 4 years we can really match more of our expenses with matched revenue sources, and I think that will help us stabilize, I think, going forward long term in the future.
That's great. I guess the other thing to kind of note that this year in particular, there's also a new mayor. There's a whole mayoral election happening for Ammon as well. So tell us just a little bit about, again, for folks to understand what the mayor's role is versus your role as a councilman. And I think some people think that mayor has a lot of powers and influence, and can do whatever the heck they want. And same as some city council members as well. Folks think the city council can just do whatever the heck they want. So just tell us a little bit about that dynamic.
Does that mean I can drive as fast as I want?
Yes. No.
So the mayor's kind of like the CEO of the city. They are responsible for the employees. They also help with, the processes of running the city itself, and especially the city council meetings, like the agenda. What goes on the agenda is the mayor's prerogative, and we can have input and work with what goes on there. And we've never had an issue with getting whatever needs to be on an agenda to talk about ever. But they really are the CEO that operates the city and is in charge of the employees. They don't really have a vote on the council. They can help direct the budget of what the budget needs to look like with the staff. But those same staff and the mayor works with the council, because ultimately our responsibility is the budget. Our responsibility is making sure that the check balances and the ordinances, that's what other police shows going, that the rules in which developers, the city itself, the residents, that they operate under, that those are ordinances that are approved by the city council in general. So we kind of make the rules, we balance, we make the budget, we approve the budget, and then we allow people to operate inside of those criteria. And then the mayor kind of oversees it as the CEO.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for explaining that. That would be really helpful, I think, for some folks that are watching. So just to kind of close things off then, so I guess share just a little bit about as to your key message that you want folks to walk away with today after we've had this conversation, why they should get out and vote, and why they should particularly vote for you also.
Well, first off, I am very happy that Mr. Wheeler has decided to run this year. I have been asking for people to run, even in competition with us, because there needs to be more involvement in the city elections. There's a lot of people who in the city of Idaho Falls are running for seats, and I would love to see the same anxious behavior of people in the city of Ammon wanting to participate, wanting to make it a place that's in their vision and their dream. Because if you don't make that decision, someone's gonna make it for you. So if you want to get involved and you want to have personal control over what the city looks like and grows, my message is I've lived here. I've raised my kids completely in Ammon. We've been in the same house for nearly 20 years. And we raised our kids here. They're all off into college, and my daughter's leaving for a mission here
Great.
next week. And
Oh, where's she going to go?
She's going to Cusco, Peru.
Oh, wow.
So she's
Okay.
super excited. She
That's
actually
great.
started what they call home MTC this
Yeah.
week, and then next week we got to take her down, and
Awesome.
she's off for 18 months.
Amazing.
So she's excited. But
Good. So,
your community is super important. I love Ammon. I love the people in Ammon. I've been here for decades, trying to make it a good place to raise a family and to do those things. I am happy that people want to get involved and have that competition with races. It makes me a better person. It makes me want to strive and do more, connect more, do more. So all the way around, having people that are excited for being a part of the city is important. But, my message is I am still striving to make Ammon a good place to do all those things. Raise a family, buy a home, have a business. And I'm still striving to help with all of the things that we've been working on to make it the finances of our city move forward is in the most positive way that it can. And there are some real big challenges that hopefully this next 4 years we can really get a couple of those things checked off. We've made a lot of progress over the last decade, a lot.
yeah.
And I'd like to just continue to move forward with that.
I appreciate that. And Russell, personal thank you for being willing to throw your hat in the ring again. And
Yeah.
I know that I just have a great deal of admiration for folks that are willing to do that. It comes with a lot of scrutiny and a lot of stress sometimes. But we need good people to do that and be willing to do it, just like you're saying. Now more than ever, I would say.
Yeah.
So I love your message, so thank you so much for that. And folks, please make sure to get out, vote. Elections coming up November 4th. And Russell Slack, thank you for being here today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much.
Beautiful.